Hey guys, Uncle Ray. Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Bellwether. I've traded a lot of different financial markets over a 30-year span. I've traded coffee, sugar, cocoa, foreign currencies, all the futures and options. I've day traded stocks and I've flipped a lot of real estate. And I've been a student of every financial instrument known to man for over 30 years. Now, I've seen something in Bitcoin that I've never seen in any other opportunity. And that is basically that for at least the next 10 years, I have no doubt that this is a raging bull market. Now, I'm going to get into my 10-year thesis. And if I'm right, I've created a trading system that's going to allow us to capitalize on the fact that the adoption is going to grow and grow and grow. And in 10 years, we will be extremely profitable. And quite frankly, we will have taken advantage of the biggest trading opportunity in the history of man. I truly believe that. Now, before we get into that, please hit that like button. We're trying to grow this community, and that helps us out a lot. We want you to be part of this community, so subscribe, mash the notifications, and let me know at the end of the video what you think in the comment section. Now, let's get into it. So what is my 10-year thesis? Well, I'm going to share with you my 10-year thesis and a lot of predictions. But the main thing for my strategy to work is just the thesis part. So if you agree with what I'm about to say, I think that you'll want to hear me out. If you disagree in my first couple of statements, my trading system probably is not for you. And quite frankly, I would not plan on implementing my strategy short term. The reason I picked 10 years is because I believe that 2-3 years is just way too short because of the volatility in the global economy right now. Now, it's based from 2022 to the beginning of 2032. Now, in 10 years, I believe that Bitcoin is going to be worth over $500,000. That's a minimum. I believe it's going to surpass gold, and it's going to literally be the most powerful asset ever created. It is going to prove itself as a store of value and the best safe haven in the world, and it's going to be the biggest bull market in history. Quite frankly, it's already there for me, but it's going to take the next 10 years to prove it to the rest of the world. And we plan on capitalizing all the way to the end. Now, I don't have to be right that it hits 500,000. Let's just say it hits half that, 250,000 in the next 10 years. My trading system will still capitalize on it, and we will not have lost a penny. Now, let's get into the rest of it. Now, these are more predictions, but it just shows the possibilities of where the adoption is going to grow in the next 10 years. I believe that Bitcoin is going to be the preferred global commodity settlement process. So that, when you trade oil from Saudi Arabia to Australia or to Europe, you're going to settle that account with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going to be its own indexed asset, just like gold has an index asset class, NASDAQ, the S&P, real estate. Bitcoin is going to be indexed, and not as a crypto, not as cryptocurrencies index, but its own standalone Bitcoin index. It will be its own asset class. Now, right now, it's not prudent to add Bitcoin to a portfolio according to Wall Street, but in the future, if you are going to meet your fiduciary obligation, it's going to be standard procedure if you are going to be prudent, and it will have flipped. Now, Michael Saylor started the trend of putting Bitcoin on the books of a Fortune 100 corporation. That's going to go mainstream I have no doubt that the majority, if not all, of the Fortune 100 and 500 corporations will start to put Bitcoin on their books, and it may go down from there. The average business down the street, as they get more sophisticated, they'll start doing it as well. I believe that Bitcoin is going to outperform all other asset classes. It's going to absolutely outperform the S&P, gold, real estate, you name it. It's going to be the number one performing asset in our lifetime and in the next 100 years. Bitcoin will have its own spot ETF. Now, that is really going to explode the adoption to the mainstream, because right now, the majority of people in America and around the world put money into mutual funds. That way, they don't have to have the knowledge, they don't have to study, they just have a trusted hedge fund or advisor, and they deploy their money into a mutual fund. Well, that's what the spot ETF for Bitcoin is going to do. When that happens, it's going to absolutely change the game for Bitcoin. I believe that the hedge funds, the pension funds, and the sovereign wealth funds around the world are all going to be invested in Bitcoin. And that's trillions and trillions of dollars. Now, the El Salvador trend is going to absolutely go global. And you're going to start to see other countries use the same method, and they're going to have Bitcoin as their legal tenure. Now, Bitcoin will go mainstream as people learn about Bitcoin, and they get more educated about how negative fiat currency is. You're going to see Bitcoin absolutely go mainstream for the average person, and that's going to be a game changer as well. Now, right now, there's over 3 billion people in this in the world that are not banked. They have no banking account, and quite frankly, they have no need for a bank account because their currency in their country is being devaluated so fast they have to immediately spend it to pay their bills, or they won't have the money left even at the end of the week or end of the month. Like right now in Turkey, their inflation is 30% a month. So if your rent was $1,000, if you don't pay it at the end of the month, the end of next month, you're $300 already behind. So Bitcoin is not only going to bank the unbanked, but it will have pulled more people out of poverty than anything that's ever been created. And it's going to give people the opportunity to protect their property. And believe it or not, it will be proven in the next 10 years that Bitcoin has been responsible for doing more to help out the climate than any other thing ever created. Now, most governments are going to accept Bitcoin for taxes and for legal tenure in one way or the other throughout the world. And all major countries will either have adopted Bitcoin or they will have their own CDBC. Now, all this is just pure adoption that's going to be a game changer along the way for Bitcoin. Now, right now, the Bitcoin networks are changing the game as far as global payments. It started with the Lightning Network, and I believe in the next 10 years that Bitcoin will be the largest payment and transaction system for the public in the world. Now, it's already, in my opinion, but definitely will have proved itself as to be the number one store of value. But I believe, now this is definitely a prediction, but what I see happening when the Lightning Network hit, that you're going to start to see layer 2s, 3s, 4s, 5 build on top of Bitcoin. And right now, it's not set up that way and people do not see the possibilities. But I believe as the world gets more sophisticated and more educated of the safety element and the absolute uh, decentralization of Bitcoin, that they're going to want to build more on top of it than even Ethereum and the other cryptos. Now, it will not have happened in the next 10 years, but we will start to see that that's an absolute possibility. Now, unfortunately, Bitcoin is going to be politicized and it will be attacked from multiple bias, agenda seeking entities around the world. The mainstream media is going to attack it, the climate activists are going to attack it, and the competition is going to attack it. Well, they all have an agenda to push, but Bitcoin will weather all that and come out even stronger. It will be politicized. The politicians will run on a pro crypto platform. Mark my words. Now, if we're lucky, it may be the thing that brings America back to the center because it is that positive for America and the world. Now, it's not there yet by any stretch, but within the next 10 years, Bitcoin and the crypto community will have the same political clout as the banks and Wall Street does right now. Now, unfortunately, in the next 10 years, and that's why I created this plan for 10 years, because I have no doubt that we have a recession or depression coming probably in the next year to 18 months, maybe 3 years top. If we're lucky, it's going to be a recession. It may be the worst depression we've ever seen. In my opinion, we're that far over the edge. But when that happens, you're going to see all asset classes around the world be crushed. Now, some of the global currencies are going to fail, and you're going to see Bitcoin start to improve and rise before any other asset class. It's going to rise like a phoenix, and it's going to become at that time the leading safe haven dominant asset in the world for the next 10 or next 100 years. Now, at that time, Bitcoin will start to trade independently of the stock market. Right now, there's a high correlation, but that is going to change when we come out of a recession. And at that time, you're going to have the biggest opportunity that the world has ever seen in an investment. We're going to have the start of the biggest bull run and the longest lasting bull run and the greatest investment opportunity in history, bar none, period. For the people that are prepared to stack during the crash, it's going to be life-changing. Now, this is not financial information. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own research. But I want you to be aware and give you all the information and give you my thoughts and my strategies so you can make an informed decision. Now, the second biggest opportunity in Bitcoin in the next 10 years is going to be through the three halvings that we're going to have. And we're not going to really talk about that, but if you are aware of what that is, and 98% of the people are going to miss it, but the people watching this video and the people already aware are probably going to be in that 2% that takes advantage of it, and it's a huge opportunity. And if you check my playlist, I'm sure over time there will be plenty of videos on the happenings that are coming up. Now, I really believe, and I'm putting my reputation on the line right now, that the crypto bellwethers, Bitcoin Thesis, which is what we're talking about, and my trading system and strategy, C.A.M, which literally stands for Counterintuitive Adoption Momentum Bitcoin Trading, I believe it is going to be proven correct. And when you go back and history looks at it, it's going to be one of the best trading thought processes and system that anyone's ever seen. I believe it's bulletproof, and I hope that if you believe in that thesis, that you capitalize it on it like I plan to. Again, not financial advice. So, guys, that's pretty much my thesis. But here are some rules in trading my C.A.M system. Now, I'm just going to roughly go through these. There's going to be multiple videos of understanding C.A.M and how to take advantage of it and trade with it. I'll be doing weekly updates, but let's just go through the rules. Now, we will never buy above the old high on the way up. I'll explain that when we look at the chart. We're never going to buy the pump, ever. We never take a loss. We will never sell on the way down, and we will never buy on the way. Wait, look back up. We will never sell on a down day, and we will not buy on an up day. We're going to dollar cost average in, and we're going to dollar cost average out. Now, that being said, this is a good time to say, if you're not wanting to trade and take the most advantage of Bitcoin in the next 10 years, I highly recommend, and I believe it is probably the smartest way to go about trading any asset class for the next 100 years, is just to dollar cost average into Bitcoin over the next 10 years. You have the money, just buy some, buy some, buy some more, especially if you use these rules and you only buy the dips and you stack during the dumps. I think that system will outperform anything else, and it will be low maintenance. And if you ever need money, instead of pulling it out, you just borrow against it. That's a whole different trading approach, because this is more aggressive and it takes more time. But I just wanted to make that clear of how good I think dollar cost averaging is, and not selling over the next 10 years will be. Now, we are going to buy all the dips, and we are going to absolutely stack the dumps, which is where we're at right now. We've been trading sideways pretty much all years, and it just gives you time to stack and stack and stack. Now, when we experience FOMO, we do one of two things. Most people want to jump in. FOMO is fear of missing out. Well, we get out, or either we hold. That's it. So when the market's rallying and everyone's having FOMO and they want to get in, we're either going to hold tight or we're going to sell to them. That's why it's counterintuitive. Now, we are going to buy the FUD. The more fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the more we purchase. Now, to talk about the happenings, there's going to be 3 over the next 10 years. And we want to pay attention about 6 months out and start seeing what the market's doing. Because, for the more advanced traders, there is a chance that you get the biggest rise before the happenings because the people got in early. So when you get the announcement, or we get to that date, the market might actually start to decline. And most people will wonder why. Well, it's already priced in, and we've probably already taken some profits, or we're starting to do so. And then probably the most important part of these rules is number 10. And it's remember the thesis and the time. At all times when you're trading and you don't know what to do and the market's getting hammered, the recession comes, whatever, just remember, where are we going? We're going up to the right. And in 10 years, Bitcoin is going to be at somewhere around 500,000 or higher. Now, that's the thesis. So we don't even have to think about that. But we're not going to sell out in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. We're not going to do it. Because we could be knee-deep in a recession or a depression, and we do not want to take a loss ever. We're just going to keep with the program, and if you can't do that, guys, quite frankly, I wouldn't even get started doing it. So basically, remember the thesis and the time, follow the rules, have conviction, and then be patient. Because, guys, your conviction has to be there. If we wake up tomorrow morning and Bitcoin is literally down 50, 60, 70%, If you are not the type person and you don't have the thought process or the conviction to absolutely start loading the boat with every penny, probably should stay out of it. But and if you even remotely think about selling, this program is not for you. But again, not financial advice. So let's take a look at the chart. So guys, here's what I want you to really understand when we talk about do not sell or do not buy above the old high. Like right here, um, you know, someone bought right there, and then the odds are they got out. Well, let's take this high. See, that's a new high. Well, you can buy all the way up to that, but when it pulled back, you can start buying again. But when it gets to right there, we are not allowed to purchase anymore. We are going to wait until that old high right there, we come back down below that. Then we can buy at that price point. So like we can buy right here, anywhere on the way down. Are you following me? Hopefully I said that right. So let's look at this one. See where you're at? We would be selling all the way up. Well, now we'd be buying, buying, buying. Well, when can we stop buying? We cannot buy above that because that's the old high. But now once it falls and comes back again, we can start buying again. Hopefully I explained that right. But now look at this long term, guys. That is just going to keep going. So just remember, we're always, our thought process, no matter how ugly it gets, and I wish this screen was bigger, but that's where we're going. So it doesn't matter. Let's just show you something, guys. No matter what, it doesn't matter what, this is the next 10 years. Does not matter, guys. Doesn't matter. We are going to end up right there, right? So it doesn't matter. We're not going to sell at any time. And after, 8, 9, 10 years, if you want to liquidate the position and get out of the program, do with what you want with your money, that's up to you. But this has got to be a long term. I wish it could be based on 1 or 2 years, but I truly believe the global economy is going to go through a really, really bad time. But we're going to capitalize because we got a 10-year program. And guys, if you need money, this is just my suggestion, again, not financial advice. If you're going to need money in the next 10 years, borrow against it. So if you end up with, 100,000, a million, doesn't matter, borrow against it. And right now, you can, a lot of different places, you can already borrow against it 50, I think up to 85%. And as DeFi becomes more mainstream, I'm guessing in another 2 or 3 years, you'll be able to go to your local bank and borrow against your Bitcoin. Now, that's just another one of my predictions. So guys, that's kind of all I got for you right now. But I truly believe that Bitcoin, the adoption is just going to keep growing, and it's going to pick up the pace, and it's going to start to snowball. And so as that happens, we are going to take advantage for the next 10 years. Now, let's go back, and I apologize for this, but I left off one thing. This part right here, guys, and I do apologize, this is the SAT part. It's the sentiment, awareness, adoption, and technical analysis. Now, that's how we guide ourselves short-term to get in and out of the market. And these rules reflect the SAT system. So the sentiment is, we want the sentiment to be really positive, and we'll sell into that sentiment because it's correlated with the same thing as these rules. Now, when the sentiment's low, that means you're going to have a lot of FUD. Well, what do? We start to buy. When you're at a cocktail party and everyone is making fun of people that are invested in crypto, or they think it's over or it's crashed or whatever, that's when we start to buy and start to stack. That's the sentiment. Um, the reason I put awareness, because a lot of people think the awareness is a lot like the adoption, but as we see this cycle happen for the next 10 years and the adoption starts to grow, awareness is huge. Because like right now, guys, we just went through what happened in Canada and with Russia. Well, that didn't create more adoption. It may did have a little bit, but it definitely created awareness. Well, after you get the awareness of how important, for instance, how the whole world saw how a government can just close your bank account and take your money for no reason just because you literally supported a cause, well, that's going to make people want to start adopting Bitcoin as a savings vehicle. When you see what happened in Russia and uh, they closed all the banks and wouldn't let people take but like $3,000 out of their bank, and think about it, you just got invaded, and you can only take $3,000 of your money. Well, you'd rather have it in Bitcoin. And we also saw how the Bitcoin and crypto community literally sent over $150 million to date um, to support the war. And people that had relatives from anywhere in the world could receive Bitcoin all over the globe. And that is the awareness. Now, unfortunately, in America, we are not aware of just how bad fiat currency is and how, in my opinion, it's criminal to print money like we do. But the rest of the world, like people in Venezuela and Argentina and Turkey, they totally understand. Well, that's going to go mainstream where the average American and average person in the world is going to understand. You can't even remotely compare a dollar to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is going to be limited and it is going to grow and get stronger, and its buying power is going to do the opposite of the dollar. So if you're trying to save for something in the future, you put $10,000 in Bitcoin, it will outrun inflation, whereas your dollar, no matter what, is just going down and down and down every day. And as it sits right now, the average person cannot even save enough to maintain where they were the year before because we're at 15 to 20% inflation. All right. Now, then, of course, once you have the awareness, that's going to get the ball rolling, and that's going to create more adoption. Like when you see the Lightning Network, now the corporations see what they can do, and they're building programs to adopt it. And so everything is just going to be a cycle, but we want to keep that in our awareness and keep our confidence strong. Now, the technical analysis, and guys, I don't care what anyone says, technical analysis is only hindsight. So all it does is help us get in and out of the market. It's not going to tell you where it's going to be next week, next year, next month, or anything. So we use the sentiment and the technicals to decide where and when we're going to buy and sell. That's it. So anyway, guys, I wish I would have put that in a different order. I know this got a little long, but I truly believe this program is absolutely bulletproof. I believe if you implement it, you will be very happy. We do not have to be totally right. If Bitcoin is not at 500,000 in the next 10 years and it's only half that, which is $250,000, we are still probably in the number one asset for the next 10 years. Truly believe that. So again, please do your own homework, but if you agree with it, it might be something that you want to implement and study up and learn and learn. And all this will make sense as you do it. You'll start to understand how being counterintuitive and just following the adoption and the momentum, how powerful that is. And it'll start to make sense when everyone's saying, wow, look at Bitcoin, it's rallied 30, 40%, and you start selling out your position. And then you'll feel comfortable when it starts to pull back. and everyone else is just dumping theirs and getting out, well, we'll take that. So we're going to do the opposite of the average person. Because guys, think about it. About 85%, probably 87%, depending on where you get your information. 85% of everyone that trades loses money. Well, that means, say, 15% of the people. So obviously, we're not going to follow along with the 85%. We're going to follow along with the 15%. I'm going to say one more thing and I'll let you go. When I used to work for Bear Stearns, we had a sign over the door and it said, if the majority were right, the majority would be rich. And right now, guys, the majority of the world have no understanding of Bitcoin, of its power, and where it's going. But if you're watching this, depending on when you're watching this, but right now it's 2022, we are in the early adoption stages, and you're going to be absolutely in that 15% if you just buy and hold Bitcoin. I truly believe that. So again, not financial advice. Anyway, guys, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Let me know what you think in the comment sections, and please share this with like-minded people. Come back and follow along. Over every week, we'll do videos of where the adoption is and what our strategy is, whether we're buying or selling or whatever. But anyway, guys, when in doubt, just follow those rules and you'll be good. Take care, guys.